Welcome to the 90s Teachers Podcast with Tasya and Zahra, where we are currently taking up space in the education arena as two Black millennial teachers in different parts of the world.
Throughout this journey, you will learn about being a teacher in today's society as we share personal stories and life experiences in the classroom.
Awesome. So, this is going to be a really awesome experience. So, this voice you're hearing, this is Tasya, and
with Zahra Hassan, or everybody knows me as Miss Hassan, as the internet says.
Yes, who is literally out here being a huge influencer on social media. Like, I'm honored. Are you serious? I'm really literally with a celebrity.
No. No.
Yeah, I know we keep it humble over here. Yeah, so how about like we just share a little bit more about us so people can get to know us before like we actually get into our conversations.
Conversations where topics are going to get heavy and we are going to keep it real, right? So I definitely, my name is Zahra Hassan. I am 28 years old, turning 29 very soon, June 21. I'm just excited, born in 94. And it's going to be amazing. I always wanted to know that I wanted to work with children. That was always a passion of mine growing up. And it's so cool that it aligned that I can do two things that I love. Teaching and fashion, because fashion was another area that I always loved. And Tasia here actually went to school for fashion. So it's so cool that she is also a teacher and she has the exact same passions as I do.
Yeah, Zara, honestly, let's keep getting into you before we get into me because, okay, let's talk about like, your school experience. Let's talk about like what you do, where you went to school. Let's go. We need to know more than your age, girl. You have much more to offer.
I got you. Well, I'm located in Toronto, Ontario, of course. Side, everybody knows that. Um, I went to school. I went to York University for both. I went to York University for my undergrad, so I have a double major in English and sociology, and I also have my bachelor's of education for junior intermediate for education. And then I went back to school. I took a few courses. So I took my AQ, so qualification courses for primary junior, which means now I can also teach from kindergarten to grade 5. And I did my special education part 1, which also means I am a special education certified teacher now. I actually graduated, like I got that course March 31st. And I'm pretty proud of it because I think it's so important for teachers to have qualifications because again, in Toronto or in the board that I am in Ontario, my province, they are moving towards more of a UDL, which is universal design learning, where all teachers, kids who are in the special education programs are going to be integrated into the every regular classrooms. So I think it's so important for us to know how we can differentiate, how we can accommodate and modify for all types of learners in the classroom. I am Somali Canadian, so my parents immigrated from Somalia from the war in 1990, I believe. I'm the oldest of 7, so I grew up with tons, again, being the eldest child, tons of nurturing responsibilities that I had, and I loved it, and I still love it. But I wouldn't. I don't know how the parents did it because I don't think I'm gonna have a football team anytime soon. I just look at my parents like, how did you do this? Like willingly too. It's crazy. But I'm happy that they did because I love my siblings. And other than that, I've always worked in places where I've been around kids. I worked in camps growing up. I did tons of camps. I also worked at the amusement park called Canada's Wonderland here. I was making funnel cakes. So I got that experience there for 2 years. But other than that, now I do content creation that I've landed because of my students. Shout out to my students, my first year students who told Miss Hassan to make a TikTok. Thank you. Thank you guys very much. All my successes to you. I dedicate that to you. So it's really cool to see that now. I've grown a platform where I can create teaching content and fashion content together. And people are supporting it. And it's always mind boggling to me because when I thought of what a teacher does, was not when I in a 25 years I wouldn't ever think that teachers would be so cool on social media. So it's really cool to see that. And that is it about me. Do you have any other questions?
I'm like, come on, like we need to know more about you, girl. No,
Yeah.
I love that you brought in the qualifications because that shows that you're not just listening to a podcast that just has these two random people just telling you nonsense. Because I mean, there's a lot of
Right.
that nowadays where people don't even have qualifications that want to teach other people how to do certain things or what their lifestyle is like. But no, you actually have two educators that do have qualifications, certifications that do
Yeah.
know what they're talking about. So,
Exactly.
I,
And we're passionate. We're passionate about what we do. I think that's the reason why we've connected in the first place is we are so passionate about what we do. And it's always like putting student voice, student well-being, student mental health, student academics first. So it's going to be a great space for everyone.
Absolutely. So, about me, my name is Tasya. I'm an educator as well. I've been teaching for about this is going into my sixth year actually, tenured. I'm New York City public school system. So, I've been around, I've been in the same school for the 6 years that I've been teaching, but I've also have had experience where I've worked as an art teacher in a part-time for an after-school program. Currently, I'm a special education teacher, so that's another way me and Zara are connected as well because we both have that certification. But
Mm,
my story is a little bit different. Like I never actually wanted to do this like at all, right? And I say that it's a calling for me
mm,
because long and behold, I went to a teaching high school that I cried when I got into. Literally, I cried, real tears, because yeah, real tears. I cried because I'm very creative. I wanted to go to a school for like art, piano, like, so creative. And this is the school I got into. And so I was so resistant. I ended up going to school for fashion. I went to FIT, which Zara was saying how I went to, fashion school, also how we connected.
mhm,
So
mhm,
I went to school for fashion, got my bachelor's degree begrudgingly because I thought I didn't like that either, And I kind of like went on a really huge soul searching journey. Ended
mhm,
up, realizing that working with kids was something I really loved to do, and
mm,
that there was something when I got that part time job after I graduated from college that I noticed that there was a huge need in our kids, especially elementary school kids, middle school kids, that they were
mm,
battling with a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. And you wouldn't think that like a 7 year old or even a 10-year old would be battling with so much darkness in their life. But it was the fact that these kids were able to open up to me and literally like tell me what they were going through and feel comfortable with a stranger, like just expressing themselves and knowing that I was a safe space for them. So then I kind of knew that, something was up and I had to take it a little bit more seriously, that it wasn't just about me not wanting to teach, but it was more so on a larger level of what I was really called to do in this life.
mm,
So there's this program in New York. It's called the New York City Teaching Fellows. And what they do is they when you get accepted, they place you in a school and then they also provide you with a
mm,
certification. And with those two things, you're looked at as like a highly qualified talent in like the public school system. So many schools they kind of seek out teaching fellows. So I ended up getting a job not I didn't even start the program yet, but because I had that on my resume, the school I'm at now wanted to like interview me and things. So I ended up getting an interview with them, and that's where I am currently right now. But what the teaching fellows does is they pay basically for most of your expenses
mm,
in school, and like your paycheck, like the rest of the money will come out automatically from like 24 paychecks or probably 48 depending, because we get paid 2 times a month. So it's like you don't even really see it. So you're able to work while you're getting your master's degree and then also teach as a full-time teacher at the same time. So that's kind of like how I got my foot in the door when it comes to like being a teacher right now. And I really do recommend the program for anyone because I mean it kind of fast tracks your way to
mm,
getting that certification. Anyways, that was we're gonna learn more about me later. But after
mm,
that, I my master's degree, I felt led to go further and to get a higher degree. So I also just currently just graduated with my doctorate degree in higher education administration. So
Woo!
let's just
That's
say,
huge. Huge. That's huge. Come on.
yeah.
That's a big flex right there.
Yeah. It's still like even just settling in. Like it just happened
Yeah.
like, a month ago. So I'm like, it's kind of weird still.
Mhm.
But that's something I did, but it's only just to show how much I feel like the system really does need some change, and how much I really do care about the kids and what's going on in this world, and how much policy and just systemic schools and things just need to be changed in, not just in the United States, because I'm from the United States, and even though Zara's from Canada, we both have recognized that it's really like a world global thing that's happening with our kids. So
Yeah.
that literally is me, and I am so excited for this podcast, girl. Like I think it's gonna change a lot of lives.
100%. Like I feel like again, representation does matter, especially connecting with like other Black female or just Black educators around the world. Creating a sense of community is so needed. Like where you feel like a safe space because we again, there's like W.E. Du Bois. I think he had like this thing called double consciousness, right? Where you're an American, but you have like this Black identity as well.
Yes, yes.
I feel like that all the time. Like when I go into the spaces, especially when I was like in my teaching in teachers college, but like also my first year of teaching, I felt like this imposter syndrome because I felt like I wasn't good enough because there weren't other teachers that looked like me. So I already felt like less of myself because like, yo, there's a reason why people like me don't take up this space, right? Because it's just that like that little negative energy in your head that comes in, and I feel like in my first year it was there, it was very loud, and I'm gonna talk about that, and we're gonna talk about that in
Oh, I
another
can't wait.
episode because imposter syndrome is crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, I've always felt this need. It was like I'm not good enough, or I have to like grind 1,000% more than other teachers just to show that I can do the job just as good as them. But what I realized and my students taught me is like, I'm doing a great job. And that validation that I got my first year is the reason now that I feel confident like going into my second year that I'm almost finishing right now. It's like completely like both my experience, my first and second year are completely different. And I feel like as new teachers, a lot of people talk to me and of course, because we're teachers. I feel like we both have this thing where people can just open up. I don't know. Do people say that to you?
Yes,
Like they're like,
all
I
the
feel so
time.
comfortable like talking to you, telling you my life. Like and people tell me that I'm a great listener, and I'm like, I feel like I'm that type of person. Like I like to listen. I'm a good listener. I like and like listen to people, help people with their problems. So yeah, we're gonna definitely dive deep into that. I think that is
Yeah,
so important.
it's wild. I was online of a rental at a rental car company last weekend, and
Yeah,
this I just asked this man to like hold my spot in the line. Then I
yeah,
come back, and then he's literally telling me his whole life about his job, his
yeah,
family, and I'm just there. But
yeah,
I realized that it really is common though. A lot of people do
yeah.
that, so I do relate with that. A lot of people do that to me. I'm like, interesting. Like, okay.
Yeah. And again, then that like shows us because then when your students do that, that's I feel like that is why your aura just gives people that invitation or just to like pour what they're feeling onto you. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's
Absolutely.
connect there for sure. It's gonna be
Absolutely. So
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. I feel like this spot is needed. It's gonna be a safe space. This is gonna be a great resource for people to use. Again, utilize us. We have all these qualifications from both of us here. Utilize it, and it's free. Free
it's
99.
free,
So
free 99. I also forgot
yes.
to mention, I am 29, so we're like literally a year apart.
Yeah.
29, born in 93. So we both found out that we are, born in June, like eight
Yeah.
days apart. And that's why this podcast is called Them 90s Teachers, just to give you guys some
That's
context.
legit. We're literally born in the 90s. And then again, people always tell me that I dress like I'm from the 90s, and that is one of my favorite eras. So that also ties into why we love the 90s. And it's just going to be great. It's going to be good vibes. The whole point of this is just to reach more people and just create some sense of community within all of us. And just be real. I feel like a lot of the content sometimes that are created is very like polished, like you pick and choose, but here we're going to give you raw. We're going to give you the real. We're going to give you our true, honest experiences, nothing covered, so it's going to be the real deal for sure.
Absolutely, because I have a lot of opinions, girl. I don't have nowhere to really tell them to.
Sips my
So
fake
many
tea.
opinions. Okay, but this was a great intro episode. We're gonna end you here, but our next episode, I mean, y'all should go check it out so you can figure out what the real tea is, because it's gonna be
Yes,
good.
it's going to be great. So again, please like, support, follow, listen, stream them 90s teachers. And this is only the beginning, and we're going to have tons of fun. And you got me and Tasia, two incredible women bosses out here. So it's gonna be tons of fun.
Yes, and don't forget to follow us on our Instagram at them 90s teachers, and DM us. Let us know what you would like to hear.
Exactly.